Right, shalom, 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 brothers and sisters, brother Kazak. Yeah, back again with another video, part 2 of this series of our sister Cathy Edwards Thompson. The video that she posted is entitled "Is the Old Covenant Needed for Salvation?" On the Shabbat, we did part 1. I'm doing part 2 in my private time. I wanted to make preparation for continuation of our teaching on salvation on the Shabbat, but I wanted to get this part out here. And so she could see how she's in error with this doctrine that she's teaching. Okay, let's go into the video, and then we're going to offer commentary.
Just to go ahead and fulfill, bring to an end, bring to its reality. I'm coming to give the people the reality of what the law and the prophets was always talking about.
Let me back this up for a second.
See, because he back here under this law. See, oh boy, back under this law, you had baptisms, you had, foot washings, you had a lot. See, that sacrifice, when it was brought to the priest, they would have to immerse.
Let me pause her for a second. She's looking at a chart, and I'm going to show you how that this chart is in error. Because she's looking at a chart, and the chart is putting baptism. She said foot washing. I don't see foot washing in this, but she said baptism, and she said foot washing. She said foot washing, and she said baptism. So on this video, I'm going to show you. This is the chart she's using. So all of this on the left, she's based on this person revelation that carnal ordinances is baptism, Passover, sacrifices. Sacrifices I can concur with. 10 Commandments is not a carnal ordinance. Passover is not a carnal ordinance. The only carnality part of it is the flesh. That's what carnal is, dealing with the flesh. The animal sacrifice. Ceremonies, circumcision is a spiritual covenant. So none of these are carnal, but the sacrifice. Okay? Let's continue.
That sacrifice in that brazen labor, see. They would have to immerse the sacrifice. Here we go. When you brought the sacrifice, you had committed a sin. The wages of sin is death. So an innocent sacrifice would have to die in your stead. You bring the sacrifice, and that priest in that tabernacle would have to immerse or cleanse that sacrifice in this brazen laver of water. It had to be baptized or immersed in water. See, it was dead. It had died in your stead. Then it had to be immersed or cleansed in this water. So it was a death and a burial of a sacrifice, you see. So that's back in the tabernacle pattern. Boy, I tell you, it's a beautiful thing. But let's just go on. So Yahshua is telling John, for thus it becometh us, John, just to go ahead and fulfill, bring to an end, bring to its reality.
There you go. That's what I was trying to. She said fulfill means to bring to an end. Let me back it up again.
You bring the sacrifice, and that priest in that tabernacle would have to immerse or cleanse that sacrifice in this brazen laver of water. It had to be baptized or immersed in water. See, it was dead. It had died in your stead. Then it had to be immersed or cleansed in this water. So it was a death and a burial of a sacrifice, you see. So that's back in the tabernacle pattern. Boy, I tell you, it's a beautiful thing. But let's just go on. So Yahshua is telling John, for thus it becometh us, John, just to go ahead and fulfill, bring to an end, bring to its reality. I'm coming to give the people the reality of what the law and the prophets was always talking about was me.
Okay, so she's wrong because fulfill doesn't mean bring to an end. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples of fulfill in the Tanakh to prove a point that fulfill does not mean to end. Okay, so we're going to start with Matthew's, the one that she's going to quote in a minute, but we're going to jump the gun and we're going to beat her to the punch. So we're going to go to Matthew's chapter 5, and I think it's 18. Okay, bring on the screen here. Matthew's 5 and 18 says, think not that I am come to destroy. So we have two words here. We have destroy, which is the word kataluo, which means to loose down, to disintegrate, to demolish, right? To halt. Okay, it says to halt for the night. Okay, so basically, so this word destroy would be end, right? Kataluo, or to halt. But he didn't come to end Torah, right? But to fulfill, right? To fulfill. So fulfill is the word plural, which means to make replete, to cram, to level up, to furnish, to imbue, to diffuse, to influence, to satisfy, to execute an office, to finish a period of tasks, verify, coincide with the prediction. So all of that is the meaning of this word fulfill. So if plural means end, it would contradict the text because the word kataluo means end. So the word, if he said, I didn't come to end the law, but I've come to end it, it's a contradictory statement. So the Messiah is not saying I didn't come to end the law, but I came to end the law. So our sister is wrong on that account. Now I'm going to show you also in another place in scripture where we see the word fulfill in the Tanakh. So we're going to go to 1 Chronicles chapter 22 and 13. 1 Chronicles chapter 22 and 13. All right. 1 Chronicles chapter 22 and 13. Let's kind of read down to it. Let's start at verse 6. Then he called Shlomo his son and charged him to build a house for Yah, Elohim of Israel. And David said unto Shlomo, my son, as for me, it was in my mind to build a house unto the name of Yahuwah, our Elohim. But the word of Yah came to me, saying, Thou hast shed blood abundantly, and hast made great wars. Thou shalt not build a house unto my name, because thou hast shed much blood upon the earth in my sight. Behold, a son shall be born to thee, who shall be a man of rest, and I will give him rest from all his enemies round about, for his name shall be called Shlomo, and I will give peace and quietness unto Israel in his days. And that's actually dual prophecy right here, okay, where peace was given to Israel in his days, okay? That's talking about, I don't want to go off into the subject, but that's talking about the branch, right? So the branch is twofold. The branch represents Shalomo, and it also represents Yahshua. It's twofold. Prophecies are not just singular, they're multiplicity, right? Okay, let's continue. It says, he shall build a house for my name, and he shall be my son, and I will be his father, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom over Israel forever. Okay, now, I kind of didn't want to read that much. I was trying to get to, so let's skip down to, it says, okay, let's continue. Now, my son, Yah be with thee, and prosper thou, and build the house of Yah, thy Elohim, as he has said of thee. Only Yah give thee wisdom and comprehension, and give thee charge concerning Israel, that thou may keep the law of Yah, thy Elohim. Then shalt thou prosper if thou take heed to fulfill the statutes. See this right here? Take heed to fulfill the statutes and judgments which Yah charged Shemaiah or Moses concerning Israel, to be strong of courage, dread not, nor be dismayed. So notice what he says here. Let me blow this up so you can see. I want you to see it. Let's amplify this a little bit. He says, take heed to fulfill the statutes, right? Now, if I bring this back in and I show you, this is verse 13, and I show you this word fulfill in the Hebrew text, right? It says to do or make, right? In a broad sense. Accomplish, advance, appoint, to be, become, bear, bestow, bring forth, bruise, be busy, have charge of, commit, deal, right? Do, ready. Okay. So when Yahshua said, I didn't come to end the law, but to fulfill it, I came to do or to represent the law in the flesh. Right? He didn't come to end the law. He came to do just like what the Most High told David to tell Shalomo to do. To do what? To fulfill the statutes and judgments which Yah charged Shemaiah with concerning Israel, to be strong of good courage and dread not to be dismayed. Okay. Now I'm gonna offer another verse, another passage with the same phrase. Okay, let's go to Psalm 145:19. It says, he will fulfill the desire of them that fear him. He also will hear their cry and will save them. So here we see another place where this word fulfill is used, right? Same word, 62:13. To do, the desire of them. So when you see this word fulfill, basically, if you go back to Matthew 5, right, and 17, this word fulfill means to do. Think not I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to do. To do it. Right? To do the law. He came to do the law. Because Yahshua, Christianity had you believing that Yahshua came down here as Elohim in the flesh. He didn't come as Elohim in the flesh. He came as a man, right? As a seed of him, as the seed of David according to the flesh. That's what the book says. If he came as Elohim in the flesh, then we can say, oh well, he only could keep it because he was Elohim. So that's what Christianity attempts to do, to make Yahshua be a supernatural being, and the only reason why he didn't sin was because he was God in the flesh, is what they say. So, no. He was flesh. He was tempted in all points like we are, yet without sin. So, if he was tempted in all points, the Most High can't be tempted because he's the Most High, which means that he had to have been flesh, just like we are. Okay? Now let's go back into the video. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the video.
See, now go ahead and get me Matthew 5:17 and 18, because this is the one they always love to get in these camps to tell people they supposed to still be keeping this old law. Go ahead and get it for me. Matthew 5:17 and 18.
Matthew 5:17 and 18.
I can't help but notice it sounds like she's bitter with us for wanting to be obedient to the Most High, as if it's the wrong thing, as if it's something that's evil. But let's continue.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall not in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
Okay, so he's telling them right there, I didn't come to destroy it, I came to fulfill it. Now let me give you an example. Okay, so he's telling them right there, I didn't come to destroy it, I came to fulfill it. Now let me give you an example. If you win a contest to pay off your mortgage, you got 10 years left on your mortgage.
Okay, I'm going to pause there. She's going off on a tangent. I want to get to the next point. Okay, let's continue now.
We're going to build us our own God. You see? But now, folks, all the way down here, thousands of years later, ain't never heard the voice of Yahweh. Ain't never saw a mountain quake with an earthquake and be on fire. Ain't never seen a sight like that terrible. But now they gonna keep the law when their ancestors who Yahweh gave the law to out of his own mouth couldn't keep it. I want to see y'all do that. You can't do it. Why? Because Yahweh set it up that you couldn't do it.
Okay. Now she's wrong again, because the Most High wouldn't give us to do something that we couldn't do. It wasn't that we couldn't do it. It was that we didn't want to do it. There's a difference between not being able to do something, and it's another thing with us not wanting to do something, right? Now, I'm going to cover all that later on, but I want to offer to you right now Deuteronomy 30, because Sister Cathy, you have to be clear, as well all the other Israelites that's teaching against Torah. Matthew 5, let me go back to Matthew 5 real quick, then we're going to do Deuteronomy 30, because you're condemning yourself, right? It says, this is the Messiah, the words of the Messiah. Let's blow it up. After he said, think not I'm come to destroy the law, I've come to do the law, not in the law, Sister Cathy. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Now, notice we have two different words to fulfill. We have in Matthew 5:18 or 17, we have plural. And then in Matthew 5:18, we have gnome. Okay? Gnome means to become, come into being. Okay? So we have two words for fulfill here. Fulfill meaning to make replete, to level up. And that's what that means. Yahshua leveled up to the law. He did the law. He showed us that it's possible to do the law because he was flesh. He lived in a fleshly body. He proved to us that you can be human and be obedient to the Creator. That's what this is all about. Why would the Most High tell the first man, Adam, not to eat of the fruit, which is the law, if he knew that he couldn't? Not that he couldn't, it's that he wouldn't. See, that's the thing. Not that Israel couldn't keep the law. Israel wouldn't keep the law because they didn't want to keep the law because they was living according to the flesh. The law is spirit. We're going to cover that a little later on in this sharing, okay? So now go back in here. So you got two fulfills, okay? To all be fulfilled, meaning all come to being, right? He says this is the condemnation for those of you people, you teachers that teach against the Most High's commandments. He says, whoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and teach men so, he or she, in your case, Cathy, shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do, right? Now, do is the word huio. And teach. So whoever shall do and teach. That's what Yahshua did. He did the law. Right? That's what fulfill means, to level up. He met the requirements according to the law. He did what he was supposed to do. Okay. So whoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Right? Then he says, here's the kicker. For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. That's works. Okay? He said your righteousness have to exceed the Pharisees. Why? Because the Pharisees, they said but didn't do. Right? I'm going to point it out real quick, and then we're going to go to Deuteronomy 30. Okay? This is Matthew 23:2. Let's start at verse 1. Let's blow it up. Then spoke Yahshua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Shemaiah's seat. Okay? What does it mean by they're sitting in Shemaiah's seat? They're sitting in Shemaiah's seat, meaning that they were carriers of Torah. Okay? They were people who were committed to the covenant of Yah. He says, all therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe. Right? Now let's just bring this back down again. This is verse 3. Okay? Observe, meaning to tereo, to watch, to guard from loss, injury, right? Now, interesting that this Greek word tereo is equivalent to the Hebrew word shema or shamar. Shamar means to keep. I'm going to show you in a second. Matter of fact, let me do it now. Let's go to Exodus 19 real quick. We'll come back to Matthew 23. Okay, Exodus 19. Both sides said, verse 5. If you will obey my voice indeed, that's Shema, right? And here and keep. Keep is Shamar. Shamar means to hedge, to guard, to protect, to attend to. So the context of Torah doesn't mean that you're going to dot a line across every T. To keep doesn't mean you're spotless. It means that you are guarding, right? Means that you're striving. The goal is the Mashiach, is to be like him, to be completely obedient to the Most High in all points. Okay? So that's why Shamar is important, because you're keeping Torah. Not that you're perfect and you're dotting every I and you don't fall short ever at any time. We strive not to, but to guard means to hedge, to guard, to protect, to attend to, right? So when you attend to something, you're keeping it up. It doesn't mean that thorns are not going to grow among the thistles. It doesn't mean the weeds are not going to grow up among the wheat. So when you're guarding something, that means you're seeing stuff that's not good. You see weeds in the midst of the tares. You separate the weeds so your crops can be spared, right? So that's the same. That's interesting how that's the same word as the word that we just read in Matthew's, okay? Where he said, observe, to guard, right? To keep. So all that they bid you or say or speak to you, he said, guard and do, right? But do not after their works, for they say and do not. So what's the problem with the Pharisees? The problem wasn't the law. The problem was they wasn't doing it. And so Yahshua, when he says in Matthew 5:17, I didn't come to end the law, but to fulfill it, he's simply saying, I came to do it. So I am your example that you can do it in the flesh, because I came in the flesh to prove to you I didn't come down here as being Elohim. I came down here as being a man who was anointed by Elohim at the appointed and the fullness of time. Okay. Now, with that said, I want to go to Deuteronomy 30. Okay. So you got to comprehend that the Most High is not just looking for us to identify that we're Israel. It's something that we have to do for him to gather us from the lands where we're scattered. And it's found in Deuteronomy 30. And the reason is wise. It shall come to pass when all these things come upon thee, the blessings and the curse, which I have set before thee, you shall call them to mind among all nations where Yah have driven thee, and shall return unto Yah, your Elohim, and shall obey his voice, according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul. That then Yah will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all the nations where Yah have scattered thee. Right? So that's what we have to get, Sister Cathy. I'm going to close this section right here. I'm going to continue, but we'll break these down into little segments. So I'm going to close for now on this section here, and we'll be back. Shalom, shalom, shalom.